So what not to do in the Dirty Kanza. First, I'm going to talk about the ride and getting ready. Put a lot of effort into this. 6 months worth of training and putting together the logistics of this, which was way more stressful than the actual ride. You're actually looking at footage of me actually riding out to the start line at 5:30 in the morning, and we had some lightning and thunderstorms rolling through just north of Emporia, and eventually crossing Emporia, a line of thunderstorms. So it was a pretty cool shot. There were more riders out there riding out to the start line a little further up from me. I almost drove out with my crew and decided not to as soon as I saw someone else take off from the hotel. What a great town and what a great atmosphere to be a part of and to see. So I missed a lot of great footage the beginning. So here we're on the first gravel stretch, and here you make a right-hander, and you can see hundreds of cyclists in front of me. Really, everybody's just trying to get their bearings of where they're at and the judge of their nerves. You can see people that are trying to pass, and you can see other people staying steady. And this is probably my first thing about doing the Dirty Kanza is don't go too hard in the beginning. I went way too hard. It was muddy in the beginning, so you're going to get a few shots here with the lens covered in mud, and we are actually starting to thin out a little bit. And really how flat slash Kansas really is. In some points it's not at all. I'm climbing as hard as I can climb at times without going too crazy, and in the beginning I actually went way over what I should have been doing. I was actually using my weight to descend really fast and then try to punch out climbs. So somewhere in this area right here, and I don't have video of it because I was trying to turn the camera on and off and save the battery on the camera to get as much footage as possible. Actually, it was just before this. Someone had told me my saddlebag was open, and it wasn't. It was just, it had a part of the compartment that expanded the saddlebag. It looks like it's going to be open, and they meant well, but I stopped, and when I stopped, hundreds of people passed me. So it was more towards the beginning, and that really took some wind out of my sails right there, because instead of just filtering in, which is number 2, I decided to get back in and try to get back up to where it was. So losing 2 to 3 minutes over a 206-mile gravel ride was not going to hurt me, but hindsight, I was feeling really, really good. So after you cross the highway here, there's a lot of rolling, some punchy hills here, so you can see you have to kind of stay within yourself. And I was getting a little better at it. Of course, you're feeling really good in the beginning, and I'm trying to eat on the uphills, even though my heart rate is a little higher. It's easier to eat going up than going down, obviously, because I got caught once cresting a hill trying to eat a Cliff Bar, and my Cliff Bar went flying away. I had one big bite out of it. So and as you can see up here, you're going to see a lot of this footage of cyclists on the side changing tires. The downhills were fun. A lot of washout and rock, you can see, crossing. So going uphill was never terrible. Going downhill wasn't bad either. So as far as I know, I actually saw one wreck, but everything was in, depending on who you're around, I think that's what was caused of that wreck. And when you got a group of guys trying to fly down a hill, Actually, this is a repeat right here of that one downhill. I think I didn't edit it very well. I'm overlaying right now, and I'm not very good at this. So you're going to hear me talk and say and a lot, but that's fine. I chased this guy on this fat bike for miles and miles and miles. Amazing what some people can do. So bridge crossings, water crossings, a lot of small water crossings, a lot of getting off the bike. Some people would risk it. I just didn't see it was where the risk was enough. A lot of media coverage, as you can see right here. Climbing the hill and, hopefully getting on the camera. I don't think I made it, but, whatever. It was really cool. I mean, you're going up some really serious grade in this, and this is really the first 50 miles right here is what we're watching right now. This, the majority of my footage came from the first 100. I didn't have much after the second rest stop, mainly because I wasn't out there too much further after the second rest stop. So but it was beautiful. I mean, and each section had its own, had its own characteristics. So the first was wet and muddy. It wasn't terrible muddy, like in 2015, I believe it is, when the mud year was really the big thing. It was enough where my shins and my arms were covered. So the weather, or really the next thing not to do at Dirty Kanza is not to go in thinking your nutrition's right. If you didn't practice it just like being there, then it's going to be wrong. And I decided I wanted some high calorie food, and I packed a lot of Cliff Bars and Luna Bars, which are great, but when I did that, I didn't think about the oats and stuff inside those bars, which are a little more slow burning. I needed like Cliff Shots or a reputable brand that's close to them. I needed pure sugar. So I got really behind on my digestive curve, especially going as hard as I went, because I really felt like a top 50 was in my range, and as far as my power goes. And as you see right here, I have a whole peloton of guys going past me. So what I was going to do was going to latch on with these guys, and I did for a little while. So I'm looking over my shoulder right now, and you can't see that, but I'm looking for the back of the line. So these guys I've gotten way ahead of, and now they are, now they're passing me because they have, wind resistance and stuff on their side. But I'm staying with them, but the guy in front of me, he's trying to eat and do things, so I'm laying off, and I don't mind if they leave me. Like, mentally, like, part of me was doing it right, part of me was doing it wrong. So sometimes I was like, I could go for a free ride here, but I feel like they were really pushing hard, and I didn't like the pace they were keeping. So I kind of just let them go. I could have dug and stayed with them, and maybe it would have let up. I don't know. I decided to just let them go and start getting down on the drops of my bike. And the way we did the bike, we used the wood chipper bars from Salsa and turned my hoods down, and I could actually lay my hands, because those bars are so big, across the top. So it worked really well as far as getting down and being aero. Now, I believe this is after the second checkpoint, and I wish I turned my camera on coming into the checkpoints, because it was like a huge party. It looked awesome out there. This is actually climbing Texaco Hill. So we're probably about, I want to say it's Texaco Hill. This is probably a mile in the 60s right here, and someone's sitting on the side of the road. Could be getting picked up, you don't know. It's just someone just sitting there, and you look ahead and you really don't see anybody. and the beauty of this place is insane, with blue skies, climbing, going up, and really capturing the view. Like now, this is the point where I finally settled down, and I was really trying to go into a kind of a recovery mode, or I was trying to just hang on to what I had left. I wasn't hurting right now. I was just trying to be really smart and conserve energy. I was in conservation mode, that's what I meant. And with that, it might have been too little too late. I think, once we got to the first checkpoint, we washed a lot of the mud off my legs and my arms. I just feel like I wasn't sweating at all. It was really breezy, and it was warm, but it wasn't terribly hot. It may, mentally, I don't know. It's hard to tell. The wind is going to sap all the moisture out of your body. So every time I climbed, I tried to be smart about it, and if I had to get off and walk, and I walked up Texaco Hill, the steep part, there was a line of us. Like, you had to pick that time where you were going to spend your watts and when you weren't. And I watched people in agony going up. And this is the descent after, I believe, I want to say this is the descent after Texaco, one of the descents after Texaco Hill. Bottles, so many people lost bottles on descents. And you'll see some people took a lot more risk than I did, and other people, another person on the side. You had to stay in your line, trust. Like this guy, he's going 5 miles an hour faster than I am, at least. And this, crossing lines, and then he bombs through a group that which was dangerous. He's already gone out of the video feed, which is insane. So a lot of risk, and another person on the side of the road. You could pass 100 people just because of flat tires, and taking good lines and being smart. Sometimes you just had to bunny hop stuff at 30 miles an hour, and then you were climbing again. So the next thing I learned for Dirty Kanza was, if you're going to do it and make it enjoyable, and some people ride within themselves and they're happy with that. I always fight my weight, and being 200 pounds, climbing and watching these people climb past me is agony. So I got home and I started a whole new weight loss program, and starting to work on that part of my fitness to make myself a better cyclist. And really to enjoy this, like when I look back at the video, a lot of times I was being very serious about how far I was, or how fast I was going, and how much power I was putting out. And it really wasn't all about that. It's an adventure. They call it a gravel adventure for a reason. It's not a gravel race, even though the pointy end of the stick is the pointy end of the stick. You got pro racers out there. It's about looking over and looking at the sky, and the view on top of Texaco Hill was insanely gorgeous. You couldn't ask. That sky on top of a hill looking over thousands of acres of prairie in the middle of our country, or in the middle of the United States, was amazing. It was, I've never thought I would be out there doing something like that. So so I learned food, nutrition. Don't go out too hard. Watch the weather. Think about the weather. We didn't, my crew did great. I changed my socks and took my shoes off for a few minutes at each rest stop. I wore road shoes so I could use my pedals, my Power Tap P1 pedals, which were perfect. They work perfect like that. But you have to know that you can walk and do things in those shoes. I would have been way more comfortable in mountain bike shoes, but that's the way I read power, and I felt like that was something I was going to be pedaling 98% of the time. So if I was walking a lot more in the mud, I would have been miserable. But as far as that, I had no trouble at all. I just had to watch my step every once in a while. And, so I wouldn't change that. I mean, that's something not to, you wear what's comfortable. Everybody else, as far as I saw, wore mountain bike shoes. And, when they come out with a mountain bike power pedal, then maybe. And you can see here, it doesn't change much, but it changes some. I mean, you start picking up some trees, and you're going to the end. So I'll use these last few minutes to really sum up what happened the rest of the way. So I mean, this is not even going to checkpoint 2. We're almost there. So this is probably about 10 to 15 miles out from checkpoint 2, and I was starting to feel nauseous right here every climb. And then I would get my breath back, or not breath. My heart rate never went up. I was starting to lose power. This is definitely near the end here, so I'll sum it up. And I felt sick, and got to checkpoint 2. We washed my legs down with ice cold water, and took off again. I felt great for 20 more miles, and then I really came unhinged. I could only hold about 150 watts unless I really had to muster and get over a hill. And after that, I fell to pieces, and I had to call my people to come and get me. So to that end, I made it 135 miles in the Dirty Kanza in the Flint Hills. It was beautiful. It was awesome. And I was only going to do it one time and be done with it. But as soon as I got done and went back, I got an ice cold shower and went to Applebee's and got a huge cheeseburger. And I felt okay. I was angry that I wasn't out there. So I'm going back in for the lottery next year, and I hope I can get in. But that's up to fate. And I'm going to do it again. So this is probably the last few shots that I have on this. And that's what not to do at the Dirty Kanza. Don't go out too hard. Eat right. And plan, and stay within yourself. So thanks for watching. I'm just watching the end with you. Boom.